চলো সাউন্ড দেখো যাও। লাইন 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 পুরোটা
হ্যালো।
হ্যাঁ, শুনতে পাচ্ছ?
হ্যাঁ, তুমি শুনতে পাচ্ছ আমার কথা?
হ্যাঁ,
একদম
শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
ক্লিয়ার।
হ্যাঁ, ক্লিয়ার ক্লিয়ার।
তোমারটা বলো।
হ্যাঁ, শুনতে পাচ্ছ? ক্লিয়ার আসছে সাউন্ড? ঠিক আছে তো?
না, বলো।
হ্যাঁ, ক্লিয়ার আসছে?
তোমার কথা কোনো কথাই শুনতে পাচ্ছি না।
শুনতে পাচ্ছ?
হ্যালো,
হ্যালো, শুনতে পাচ্ছ?
শোনো না।
এই বিনোজি,
বলো।
তোমার কথা শুনতে এগুলো কি মিউট হয়েছে নাকি?
না, mute নেই। বলো। হ্যালো হ্যালো, আনমিউট আছে।
কই তোমার তো নিচ্ছে না। হ্যালো
হ্যালো, এমনি না তো সাউন্ড। হ্যালো হ্যালো,
আমাদের
আর বাইরে থেকে তো কেউ কথা বলবেন না, না না, তুমি বেরোবে এখান থেকে।
হ্যালো হ্যালো, চেক।
হ্যাঁ আমরা তো এই তো না না, এটা আরেকটু দরজার সামনেটা ফাঁকা করে দেন।
হ্যাঁ, বলতে এইদিকে আসতে হবে, ওদিকে যাবেন।
কোন দিকে?
মানে ওদিকে
না,
আসতে
সেটা
যাবেন।
ঠিক আছে।
আপনি এগিয়ে আসতে পারবেন। আর এই মাইক ফোনটা আছে, ফিডব্যাক মার্ক।
ও আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে। এইখানে দাঁড়িয়ে একটু একটু সাইডে সরে আমরা একটু দূরে দূরে দাঁড়াবো যাতে যাতে সবার ভয়েসটা চলে আসে।
হ্যালো 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 হ্যালো
হ্যালো হ্যালো
আরেকটু উঠবেন, ওটাতে হবে না, এখান থেকে চলে আসবে। তুমি ভালো বুঝো তো। আরেকটু সামান্য, ব্যাস ব্যাস ব্যাস, এইটুকুনি। হ্যাঁ, তারপরে একটু দূরে যেতে। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ। এরা হ্যালো হ্যালো হ্যালো
ফোনটা
হ্যালো
সাইলেন্ট করি।
হ্যালো। হুম, ঠিক আছে।
ফোনটা সাইলেন্ট করি, ওটা না ফট করে ডিস্টার্ব করবে। সাইলেন্ট করাই ছিল, মিউট করে দিই। ঝামেলা শেষ। নেট বলে।
হ্যালো।
হুম, ঠিক আছে। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, ঠিক আছে।
হ্যালো হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, ঠিক আছে।
হ্যালো হ্যালো হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, আমার এখানে ঠিকই আছে। হ্যাঁ, কেউ এটা নামাতে হবে না। ওকে।
তো তাদের নামাতে হবে না।
হ্যাঁ, ওইটা ওইটা।
হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, ওই তো অমৃত। হ্যাঁ, অমৃত ছিল।
হ্যালো
হুম।
হ্যালো 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 হ্যালো
कैसे हैं? अच्छा।
হ্যালো
তুমি মাঝখানে যাও।
হ্যালো 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 হ্যালো
হ্যালো ঠিক আছে
হ্যালো আর আচ্ছা পাঁচ মিনিট
হ্যালো
ঠিক আছে
বসে পড়বো দাঁড়িয়ে থাকি শুরুতেই তো হবে আবার বসে
invite করবে you should be invited here actually so
Really?
we will right? Absolutely
but just
we will see the
we have our closing
yes
heralding
স্যার আমরা কি বসবো নিয়ে তাই
তাই ও বাইরে
বাইরে যাবো ছাড়
হ্যালো হ্যালো চেক হ্যালো
Hello. Good. Yeah. So get it.
সিটিং অ্যারেঞ্জমেন্টটা এরকম কোথাও ছিল ভালো করা যায় মোবাইল গুলো সব
আমি আপনার কাছে গিয়ে আবার জেনে নিচ্ছি ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে বসেন
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to the convocation ceremony of International Statistical Education Center, an associate institution of Indian Statistical Institute. Today, we have assembled here to award diplomas to all the successful participants of the 77th term of the regular course on Statistical Theory and Application conducted in partnership with ITEC program of the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. Now, before we proceed, I would like to request everyone to please keep your mobile phones in silent mode. Now, we will start today's event with the Vedic hymn presented by ISEC Club. Thank you to all the participants of ISEC Club. I would now request Professor S.P. Mukherjee, Chairman, Board of Directors, ISEC, to deliver the opening of the convocation.
Respected Professor Amartya Kumar Datta, Director, Indian Statistical Institute. Respected Professor Bimal Kumar Roy, former Director of the Indian Statistical Institute, and our chief guest today, Professor Anand Boshu, Member Secretary ISEC, Professor Sandeep Mitro, Assistant Secretary ISEC, other distinguished guests present, dear participants in the 77th regular course of ISEC. Welcome to you all on my behalf and on behalf of ISEC. ISEC is a rich legacy left behind by a great visionary, Professor Prashant Chandra Mahalanobis. Mahalanobis has been sometimes characterized as a great visionary, no doubt, also as a physicist by training, a statistician by profession, and an economist by vision. He could realize the great role that statistics was to play in the context of development planning in many of the developing countries and less developed countries. He also realized that 75 years back or around that time, many developing countries and most less developed countries were yet to have their statistical system developed to the extent that their own statistical people could provide inputs for planning development activities in their respective countries. With this view in mind, he took the initiative to start in 1950 as a joint venture, this ISEC, a joint venture between the International Statistical Institute and the Indian Statistical Institute founded by him. And this ISEC has been, as all of you know, trying to help capacity building in the field of statistics in many developing countries around the world. Among its activities, a major activity has been planning and conducting a 10-month-long course, full-time, residential, on statistical theory and applications. This is the 77th course for which we are holding the convocation today, which was attended by 18 participants representing 11 different countries. And that way, ISEC has been rendering, to the best of its ability, some service to many countries to develop their own capacity in the field of statistics and finally in the field of development planning. With these few words, I welcome all the persons who are present here on this occasion, and I declare the convocation at the end of the 77th regular course of ISEC open.
Thank you, sir. Now I will request Professor Amartya Kumar Datta, Director ISI, to present the welcome address.
So Professor Bimal Roy, today's chief guest, who was also a former director of ISI, Professor S.P. Mukherjee, chairman of ISEC Board of Directors, Professor Anand Basu, acting member secretary ISEC, and also the former officiating director, Professor Sandeep Mitra, Assistant Member Secretary, ISEC, and all ISEC trainees, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Indian Statistical Institute, I welcome you all to the 77th Convocation of ISEC for award of diplomas to the successful participants of the regular course on statistical theory and applications. Just now, Professor Mukherjee told you that this is really the flagship program of ISEC. I congratulate all the trainees for their successful completion, and I sincerely hope that you would make best use of the tools and techniques learned here to improve the national statistical systems of your respective countries. And also, I personally request you to send us your feedback on the program, particularly how you think that the program would help you improve the national statistical system in your country, because this would also help us to justify the continuity of the program in near future. So if there is a direct write-ups from the actual beneficiaries. A warm welcome to Professor Bimal Rai, former director of ISI, for agreeing to deliver the convocation address. We feel extremely proud to witness that the long-term course of ISEC, in collaboration with ITEC, Government of India, has supported trainees from 86 developing countries over 77 batches so far. This has been possible through the sincere efforts of the internationally reputed faculty members of the ISI, the members of the board of directors, the staff members of ISEC and others, as well as the support of the Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, what is popularly known as MOSPI. I sincerely hope that the trainees now being inducted as members of so you have now become members of the extended ISI family. So you will carry with yourself the goodwill and spread the reputation of ISEC in different corners of the world to promote greater international cooperation with our country. As you know, our ISI logo is unity in diversity. And as ISEC, an associate institution of ISI, was not built in a day, let us all strive to uphold its tradition, uniqueness, and eminence so that it can achieve further glories in the future. In the beginning, you heard the Vedic hymn, goes back to the Rig Veda, and the music was set, this particular music was set by Rabindranath Tagore. And this Vedic hymn appeals that let us all come together for one common goal. That is the message of this hymn. And so let us all come together to uphold the tradition, uniqueness, and eminence of this program.
Thank you, sir. Now I would request Professor Avinendranath Basu, Acting Member Secretary, Board of Directors, ISEC, to present the annual review.
Professor S.P. Mukherjee, Chairman, Board of Directors, ISEC. Professor Amurtha Kumar Datta, Director, ISI. Today's chief guest, Professor Bimal Kumar Roy, who is also a former director of ISI and former chairperson of the National Statistical Commission of India. Professor Shandip Mitra, Assistant Secretary, ISEC, Dr. Arindam Kaur, Program Coordinator, ISEC, graduating students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am privileged to present the report on the activities of the International Statistical Education Center during 2025 and 26. It has been a really active and eventful year. As a brief recap, let's remember that the center was founded in 1950 through the initiative of Professor Mahalanobis, based on an agreement between the Indian Statistical Institute and the International Statistical Institute. At present, the center is run by the Indian Statistical Institute under the auspices of the Government of India. It's an associate institution of ISI, and it functions under an independent board of directors, which is members from ISI, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. The center, in terms of its stated goals, aims to provide training in theoretical and applied statistics at various levels to selected applicants from countries of the Middle East, the Far East, South and Southeast Asia, as well as the Commonwealth countries of Africa. However, in reality, the center admits students from all over the world. The primary, and not the only one, but the primary training program is a 10-month regular course in statistics, which we call Statistical Theory and Applications, leading to a diploma. So till date, more than 1746 trainees from about 86 countries have received this diploma. In addition, we also run special courses of different topics of varying duration, depending on the needs of different countries and organizations. Generally, the financial support is provided to the participants in all ISEC organized programs by the Ministry of External Affairs through its ITEC program. These programs have traditionally been residential, except during the pandemic years, when some online courses had been organized, still mainly under the e-ITEC initiative. The previous convocation held last year was organized on May 23, 2025, where 18 trainees from 12 different countries were awarded the diploma. This year, we again have 18 trainees, and this year is the 77th term of the regular course, and the 18 trainees represent 11 countries, namely Ethiopia, Fiji, Gambia, Ghana, Myanmar, Nepal, Niger, South Sudan, Sri Lanka, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe. All the trainees have been supported by ITEC fellowships of the Government of India. This year's program commenced on August 1, 2025. During this year, the regular course, ISEC also conducted 3 special courses. The first one was a program titled Data Analytics for Decision Making, a 3-week training program involving 15 students from 9 countries, which was held during July 9 to July 29, 2025. The second special course was a 2-week program on conducting household surveys, sampling methodologies and analysis with 14 students and representing 10 countries, and it was held during August 6 to August 19, 2025. And the final one was a workshop on statistical quality control techniques where there were 13 students, and it was held during November 6 to November 19, 2025. During this year, the ISEC celebrated its Platinum Jubilee. Remember, ISEC was set up in 1950 and 2025, it completed 75 years of meaningful existence. And as a part of this celebration, the workshop on data needs for planning sustainable development was held at the National Statistical Systems Training Academy in Greater Noida during September 15 to 20, 2025. In addition, an international conference on statistics and data science for development planning was held in ISEC Kolkata during September 23 to 25, 2025. This year, the center also hosted a hybrid IASS ISEC workshop. IASS stands for the International Association of Survey Statisticians. The workshop was on small area estimation and it has just been completed. It was held during 18 to 21, 2026, which had 41 participants, including online participants, who joined from 22 different countries. Professor Partho Lahiri, University of Maryland, and Professor Yuting Cheng, Eastern Kentucky University, were the primary resource persons. The trainees at ISEC regular course are provided with computer and internet facilities during the stay. They have access to ISEC library and the central library. Faculty members of the institute participate in the teaching of the courses. Assistance of the officers of the Government of India is usually received for teaching official statistics and the special course on conducting household surveys, sampling methodologies and analysis. And it's my pleasure to report that all 18 trainees in the 77th term of the regular course successfully completed the program and have been recommended for the award of the Statistical Training Diploma by the Teachers Committee. I would like to place on record my deep gratitude to Dr. Mohammad Zafar Anis, Member Secretary, BOD ISEC, Professor Shandip Mitra, Assistant Secretary ISEC, to all the teachers of ISEC, to Dr. Arindam Kaur, Program Coordinator, Mrs. Madhumita Paul, and all other ISEC officials and staff. I also take this opportunity to thank Mr. Viraj Singh, Additional Secretary MEA, Ms. Pooja Singh Mandal, Additional Secretary MOSPI, Sri Narendra Kumar Santoshi, Director General CSO MOSPI, all of them are colleagues in the BOD ISEC. I'm grateful to Professor Sanghamitra Bandyopadhyay, former Director ISI, and Professor Amartya Datta for the support to ISEC activities. Also to Professor Amita Pal, organization of the Platinum Jubilee Conference. I'm also indebted to Professor S.P. Mukherjee for his wise counsel on all matters. And special thanks are due to Professor Bimal Kumar Roy for agreeing to our request to be the chief guest and deliver the convocation address, which we look forward to. Finally, I place on record my deep appreciation for the support of the workers of various administrative units of ISI in running the different programs of ISEC. I'm thankful to all of them. And lastly, I congratulate all the graduating trainees. I wish you great success in your future professional endeavors. This is your day. I wish you the best and hope that the training that you received here will help you to build a successful career in the future. Keep in touch. You are our brand ambassadors. Our doors are always open to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would request Professor Bimal Kumar Roy, Chief Guest of today's event, former Director ISI and former Chairman of National Statistical Commission of India, to deliver the convocation address.
All the dignitaries on the dais, my students, fellow students, my dear students from all over the globe, other participants, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very proud privilege that I'm having today to speak before you on this very happy occasion. And I must thank the ISI Member Secretary Oyon to invite me for this great occasion. Now, the topic of this talk is essentially what you have been doing all this year long. How do we make a data-driven decision? So I'll caution you the use of the methodologies that we have learned with a few stories. The stories may look very naive, but if you think properly, it will actually carry a very, very deep message, which you should take along with you. My story number one, what I call the percentage trap. So this was reported in a city that of all the accidents, the car accidents that happened, say last 1 year, 18% of them were due to the drunk drivers. That is the data you read. So a smart driver tells, well, if I'm drunk, I only cause an accident with probability 0.18, just 18%. As opposed to, if I'm not drunk, when I may cause an accident with probability 0.82 or 82% of the time. So I better drink and drive. Now on the face of it, it doesn't sound that illogical. So where is the flaw? So this is my whole idea of today's talk, that how do we may come to a flawed decision looking at the data if you interpret this wrongly. Now when you do percentage, there are two issues. One is numerator, one is denominator. That should be understood very clearly. Now here, ideal thing should have been, say, of the drivers, how many of them were drunk? Now, this we don't know, but we suppose that out of 1,000 drivers, maybe 100 of them were, or maybe 50 of them were drinking and driving. And then this 18% accident due to drunk driving becomes actually huge. So it's the notion of conditional probability, not that given an accident, whether this is due to drunk driving, it should be given a drunk driving, what is the probability of an accident? This conditional probability A given B or B given A makes a whole lot of difference. So here the right thing would be the conditional probability of an accident given that you were drunk, not the other way. So this is my first story. You must remember. The second story goes back, very, very famous legendary statistician, Cochrane. So he was analyzing the death due to lung cancer in England and surrounding European countries. And he found this data, that 15% of the death due to lung cancer were from the non-smokers. About another 15% of death were for the people who were smoking cigarettes only. The rest 70%, they were smoking cigars. That's the data. Now there is no percentage bias here. These are computed properly, numerator, denominator. And then what one may interpret, a smart statistician or smart somebody say, well, if I smoke cigarettes, my chance of dying out of lung cancer is same as if I'm non-smoker. So I better go on smoking cigarettes. What's wrong in it? On the face of it, the data you may interpret like this, but what is the actual crux of the matter? Now, who smokes cigars? These are the old people. Okay, and an old person, if he or she has got lung cancer, most probably he or she will die. So what is that we study in our syllabus? Something called a concomitant variable or underlying attribute behind this is age. So when you make an inference here, if you don't take care of that very important factor, attribute or concomitant variable age, we come to a very wrong decision. So you have to understand when something happening, what are the factors are responsible behind this. Just plain data doesn't speak always the truth. It could also humiliate you. Story number 3. This is due to another legendary person, Sir Ronald Fisher. You must have learned correlation coefficient or measures of association. Now this lies between -1 and +1. You must have done in algebra. So positive means if one attribute increases, the other attribute also increases, like height and weight. Normally if height is more, the weight is also more. Negative means if one increases, the other decreases, like sunshine and rainfall. If you have more sunshine, you have less rainfall. Okay, and 0 means they are not seemingly related, these two. So he taught this, and then he told the students to look into the data from the British government's 2 ministries' quarterly bulletins for last 30 years. So 30 years means 120 quarterly bulletins, and they were asked to look into bulletins of 2 ministries. One is the Ministry of Commerce, and to get the data on apple export from Great Britain. So you have data X. Quarter this block, this is the apple export. And the other data point was from the Ministry of Social Welfare and Justice. And they were supposed to record the number of registered divorces. Data, some numbers. So 1 to X, Y. And he says to the students, you now compute the correlation. Now, any formula, put any number, something will come out. So it came out to be very close to -0.1, maybe 0.8 or 0.85. So how would I interpret this? That if you have to reduce the number of divorces, I have to increase export of apple. Again, funny, like you're only laughing. So this is what he calls as the spurious correlation. Apple eating habit has no causation for divorce. That we must understand before you do any data analysis. So his message was that before you do any data analysis, you have to understand the domain appropriately and very deeply. And these days, from Fisher's time, things have changed. These days, you have so many tools. And the advice is that you just do not use those tools without understanding the domain of the context deep enough. If you do that, you may end up getting into what Fisher pointed out. An inference like this is all data driven. Data was not wrong. That if you want to reduce the divorces, you increase the apple export. Story number 4. Okay, this is one of the very primary contribution of PC Mahalanobis. Now, if you look at two apples, this side, that side, red or reddish, yellowish, something, you know that this is apple. Even if the color is green, so the color doesn't really matter. You know this is an apple, this is an apple. You have a pear. You know this is a pear. The size doesn't matter. The exact color doesn't matter. So there must be a notion of similarity or dissimilarity. Similarity amongst all the members of this particular product, apple, or a particular product as pear. A dissimilarity between one member of this apple group and one member from this one. So there must be a notion of distance. The distance between, in some sense, two apples would be less than, significantly less than the distance between one apple and one pear. Again, you look at, I think he worked on anthropometric data. So if you look at a person from Africa, or you look at a person from Bengal, and I think he was working with the Anglo-Indian population, a mixture of British and Indian population, there you can distinguish that he is from Africa, he is from India. This person, I don't see any Anglo-Indian here. You're an Anglo-Indian. And then he figured out that there are lots of anthropometric feature, like your height, length of your head, length of your fingers, length of your toe, perimeter of your skull. So there are, anthropologists know there are some 40, 45 anthropometric attributes which defines a human being. So a human being is actually a vector of all these attribute values. Now there must be some notion that between two same race, if I have people from, I know there are many races in Nigeria, but if I think of a particular race in Nigeria, the distance between two persons, these measurements should be close in some sense. And if you take that and take a ordinary Bengali from Calcutta, this feature value should be somewhat different. Okay, that led to the idea of what we call these days Mahalanobis D-square and Mahalanobis distance. And I'm not going to tell the mathematics about it. What he basically did, that all these attributes he standardized, because it has to be unit free. If I measure my heights in kilometer or millimeter, makes difference. Kilometer, you see hardly any variation. Millimeter, you see always a lot of variation. So standardize the variables. And then the crucial part he did is that when you do our usual notion of distance as Euclid defined, we assume that x, y, z axis, they're all perpendicular to each other. Now here the attributes are not perpendicular because they do have correlation. So what he did, what we call geometrically rotating the axis, or he calls a linear transformation on the data, to make that after the transformation, all the attributes are actually independent of each other. And then you could use the equivalence formula. So the detailed mathematics is there, but that was a phenomenal achievement, and which is probably the most cited paper in science domain, Mahalanobis D-square. And everywhere in any science, any biological domain, any physics domain, anything. And these days you talk about machine learning, AI. So this distance is a very important notion, and everywhere you use the Mahalanobis distance, which evolved from this place. Okay, my last story is about my own experience. I learned something called a randomized response. I don't know if I've learned it in sample survey, but I could apply in one of my applications. So I was warden for the ISEC hostel some time back, not some time, quite long time back. And then I heard from some student that many of our students do take alcohol in the hostel. So personally, I don't mind, being an adult, you can take alcohol, But the rule is that in the hostel, you cannot consume alcohol. I don't know about ISEC hostel, but in our usual hostel, you are not supposed to. So if I hear something, a rumor like this, that many students are drinking alcohol, first I have to know how many are drinking. It is 10%, 15% or 50%. I was thinking my time, I also studied in the same hostel. I stayed in the same hostel for 5 years. In my time also about 10% of my classmates had this habit. But it didn't bother the peace in the hostel. It didn't bother even their career. So about 10, 12% drinking, we accepted. We didn't bother. Our teachers didn't bother. It was peaceful. But now, is it much beyond that or it's around the same? Then I'm not going to. If it is around the same, I don't really care. So let it be there. But if it becomes 50%, then it is worrisome. So I have to do some study to find out this percentage. What I want to find out, I come to a sample survey now. The percentage of my students who drink alcohol in the hostel. Okay, now the simple sample survey, if I ask him, hey, do you drink alcohol in the hostel? Well, number one, he may refuse to answer this question. He's right, I'm getting into his privacy. Okay, and if he's very polite, he may answer, but can you trust the answer? Probably no. So answering, asking a direct question to any of the student, I may not get a response, and even if I get a response, it is not dependable. So I cannot do any computation on the basis of this kind of sample survey out of question. So we had to evolve. It's a very standard technique in sample survey, but I used it for the hostel. So I put 2 questions instead. One question, do you drink alcohol in the hostel? Answer is yes or no. I put a second question, looks very naive, but very, very deep and important. Are you born between, say, January 1 to June 30? Answer is again yes or no. Second question, I repeat, are you born between January 1 and June 30? Answer yes or no. Then I say, the student, you take a coin, toss it. If it is head, you answer question 1. If it is tail, you answer question 2. You don't tell anybody what was the outcome of your toss. Okay, and then on a piece of paper, you write a capital Y or capital N, and then give it to me. Now then my question, students, will you do this fairly? And the students, what they are thinking, say all they are bothered about their privacy. That can I know from this data that I'm getting bunch of Y and bunch of capital N's that he drinks or he drinks, he doesn't drink? Now just let me just think about this example a little bit carefully. Now from one single capital letter, it's almost impossible to identify a handwriting. So if I know all of your handwriting also, but from a single capital or capital N, I cannot identify whose handwriting is this. And even if I could identify that, I don't know which question you have answered. Question 1 or question 2. So to me, identity and data, okay, both are not known. So how would I know for a particular person he drinks alcohol or not? So I ran this experiment. I didn't write in a report, but I can share the numbers now. Maybe he can do the calculation for me. So about 400 students participated, and I got 134 yes. Okay, let me try to analyze. This is very simple high school arithmetic, nothing beyond that. So of the 400, now you should answer me. You remember, if it's head, you answer question 1. If it is tail, you answer question 2. Now 400 people responded. So of the 400, how many would answer question 1? How many would answer question 1? Head question 1, tail question 2. 400 of them. 200, right? And 200 will answer question 2. Now think of my very naive question, but what I said deep. are you born between January 1 and June 30? Now, of the 200 who answered question 2, how many do you expect to answer yes? 100, right? So 100 of the yes came from my question 2. I got 134 yes. The remaining 34 must be coming from my first question. 200 of the students answered first question, 200 of them. And I got 34 yes. So what percentage of my students do drink alcohol? 34 out of 200, so what percent? 17%. Very simple. So I could compute. I did not compromise or get into any of your privacy. I don't know whether she drinks or you drink or he drinks, but I could compute a very unique way of doing sample survey and getting an estimate that 17% of my students do drink alcohol. The rest is my decision. I thought my time it was 10, 11%. Time progresses, people become more progressive. So 17 is not so bad. So I didn't take any action. And then I later told the then director of the institute, J.K. Ghosh, he said, no, Bimal, you have done good thing. Okay, now, then I come to the last, I would say, advice, because you will be going and working for your government. What I preach, even today I'm preaching the same thing with the Indian government. I was chairman of the National Statistical Commission. I could make a practice happening in our government. And I said that what is there so sacrosanct about the government data? Maybe the defense or intelligence, these are very sacrosanct, but others, we can publish each and every data, even at the granular level. That will help the researchers, other people to make decisions, to do analysis. Now then the natural question comes, the privacy. Why would someone know my, say, income or even my profession or even my age? So publishing the government data as it is going to compromise a citizen's privacy. And every country, in every democracy, privacy is protected by the constitution itself. So I cannot do that. But there are methods. The example I told, randomized response, the methods that I can transform my data into a form by some kind of transformation, maybe randomized response, or maybe there are other methods, that the data I publish is not going to compromise any privacy at all. Yet, all the statistical properties do lie in the data. They don't vanish. That's a big area of research these days, privacy protection and data dissemination. And Indian government as a policy has accepted it. I remember MOSPI has already formed a committee to suggest how to anonymize data, how to make this data publish. And I think almost 90% of the data is available in the public domain. The rest will be also available in the public domain. So my request to all of you, when you go back to your government, the data is nothing very sacrosanct to be kept in your pocket. Government should release it to its citizens. Citizens should know the exact nature. But privacy is important. So you have to make sure that privacy is not compromised. And you should publish all the data. That you have to influence your government to publish all the data. Not all the countries do it. India is one of, I think USA does to some extent. India is doing now. I think this is our moral responsibility to our citizens, and we must promote that. So this, I end my talk, and I encourage you to go back home and try to utilize what you've learned here. And as our director Amurtha told you, must send us feedback. We want to continue this practice, and we will practice. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such an informative speech. Now, Professor Amurtha Kumar Datta, Director ISI, will hand over award of diplomas to the successful participants. Dr. Arindam Kaur, Program Coordinator ISEC, will coordinate this part of this event.
Hello, trainees. Trainees, you are requested to make a queue according to your roll number. Roll number one by it. Deep Singh from Fiji. Mr. Silas Jobe from Gambia. Theophilus Kankam from Ghana. Gojo Ado from Ghana. Ian Marvin from Myanmar. E. Mon from Myanmar. Soi Mon from Myanmar. Mei On from Myanmar. Momo Ong from Myanmar. Jitender Ranawat from Nepal. Yusuf Maiga from Niger. Senoisi Bijo from Niger. Sori Diallo Ibrahim from Niger. Wani Aquilino from South Sudan. Herat Lakshmi from Sri Lanka. Christopher David from Tanzania. Lloyd Metiniso from Zimbabwe. Now we will আমি announce করে দিচ্ছি, হ্যাঁ? Now we will call our best stopper, Mr. Jitendra Ranawat. পড়িয়ে দিন। Hello, Ranawat. That's all. Thank you.
Congratulations to all the participants. Now, Professor Shondip Mitra, Assistant Member Secretary, Board of Directors, ISEC, will present the vote of thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. And this is now we have come to the concluding part of the convocation, and it's my turn to give the vote of thanks. Let me express our gratitude to Professor Bimal Roy, former director of ISI and former chairman of National Statistical Commission. And thanks to Professor Roy for accepting our invitation. I'm sure the trainees have learned a lot from his mesmerizing talk delivered today. We are extremely grateful to Professor S.P. Mukherjee, the chairman of ISEC Board of Directors, for his presence and the policy decisions undertaken from time to time. Today's convocation of 77th batch has become significant through the august presence of Professor Amartya Datta, director of ISI. We are grateful to him for his constant support and encouragement received from time to time. ISEC would like to thank Professor Amita Majumdar and Professor Amita Pal for their roles in organization of the Platinum Jubilee Conference. We are extremely glad that the former Member Secretary Professor Manoranjan Pal is also present and other teachers are also there. We feel proud to mention that the academic leadership given by the Member Secretaries Professor Oyanandra Basu, Professor Muhammad Jafar Anis has led ISEC to new heights. We thank all the service units of ISI, staff members of various units, including ISEC, CEANF, who is present, for providing necessary help from time to time. Last but not the least, we are extremely happy to see that the trainees, after so many days of hard work, are being awarded the diploma on successful completion of the course. We congratulate them once again. Thank you all.
We will end today's event with the national anthem by ISI Club. We have arranged a high tea outside for you all. Please join us.
Hello.
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 Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
All of you, please rise for the national anthem.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता
जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Please join us outside. We have arranged a high tea for you all.